The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. Chapter 2. Suffering Can Lead to Happiness. If you're looking for good examples of success being achieved through struggle, you don't have to look much farther than the art world, because we often imagine artists as tenacious and underappreciated, willing to fight for her talent to be recognized. You might be gratified to learn that that stereotype is frequently more accurate than we'd imagine. For example, just take the story of guitarist Dave Mustaine, who, in 1983, was kicked out of the band he'd formed with his friends, Metallica, right as they were about to get their big break. Fuming, Dave decided that the best way to get revenge would be to perfect his own skills and show them what a mistake they made. So, for 2 years, he threw himself into improving his performance and finding talented musicians who could help him form an even better band. The results of his passion, a little band called Megadeth, later went on to sell more than 25 million records. Yet, despite the success of his own venture, Dave couldn't let go of the sense of inadequacy he associated with Metallica. And because Metallica became one of the world's most successful bands, Dave felt even more like a failure when he measured his success against theirs. And even though Dave clearly wasn't a failure, his struggle highlights one of the most common human pitfalls: our temptation to measure our success against that of others. This often occurs because we set unhealthy or unattainable benchmarks for ourselves, which means that we'll always be doomed to disappointment. But how do we find healthier standards for measuring our achievements? One way is to learn from Pete Best's example. Like Dave Mustaine, Pete was also kicked out of a band that was deeply important to him, and this band was also destined for success. Pete's experience also held even more potential for disappointment, because his former band happened to be none other than the Beatles. No big deal, of course, only the biggest band of all time. Watching their success was perhaps even harder for Pete than it was for Dave, and understandably, Pete became very depressed for a while. But after a while, he sort of snapped out of it when he realized that music, rather than fame or success, was his biggest priority in life, and if he wanted to truly enjoy his passion, then he had to stop letting success define his life. Even though he went on to play with less successful bands, realigning his priorities led to Pete becoming a happier, healthier, and more well-adjusted person. So, the moral of this story is that whatever your Metallica is, stop comparing your success to theirs.